Hey guys, how we doing? Today I'm going to show you how to install a rapid fire chip inside of a CG controller. You must have a CG controller. The way that you can tell if you have a CG controller is C15, this resistor, and it says C15. You can actually see it by just taking the battery cover off. You can actually see this part of the circuit board. You don't even have to take your controller apart. If you have this C15 resistor, you have a CG controller. The kit includes an optocoupler, the rapid fire chip. The optocoupler turns the rapid fire chip off and lets it stay off when you turn off the controller. A lot of chips you can actually turn on and waste the battery even though the controller is off from the system. This completely turns it off. It's a secondary chip. It's not necessary, but if you don't install it, when you turn on your controller, your chip will go into mode 2 automatically. It won't start in the off position. So you do need to install this if you want your chip to be in mode 0 every time you turn it on. On the chip, next to this leg here on the front of the chip, you will see a dot. That dot indicates leg 1. You only need legs 1, 2, 4, and 5. The leg across from leg 1, leg 6, can be cut off, and leg 3 at the top of leg 1 can be cut off. And you can glue them right by where it says TP7 over here. Just kind of glue it over in this area. And you can actually install your rapid fire chip either here or here. I'm installing it here because it's going in a special shell. And that special shell has electronics that the chip can interfere with if you install it over here. But a front install sometimes can be easier. So, again, this chip, this is leg 1. On the front of the chip, there'll be a dot that indicates leg 1. That little dot is leg 1. And then they go in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On TP8, this little point, I don't know if you could see it. There's TP8. You need to install a resistor. So the resistor is installed on TP8. Now let me show you how to solder it up. The resistor gets soldered to leg 1. Take your wire. Strip your wire. There's leg 1. Leg 2 gets soldered to one of these 2 points over here. It doesn't matter which one. I like to use the top one. These are TP2 and 22, I believe. They're both grounds, so you need to solder it to one of them. So there's that one. And your resistor. And then, like I said, resistor gets soldered to leg 1. And the ground gets soldered to leg 2. Whoops. There we go. Then the next one you want to do is kind of get this out of the way. And get your 2 down here. Watch out for this hole because the screw goes through it. You don't want it to cut your wire. The next is the TP5 point. That's your actual power point. You could solder the pin 1 of the rapid fire chip direct to TP5. That's where it gives the chip its power. It's a 3.3 volt soldering point, and it's always on. Even when your controller is off, the batteries constantly provide power to TP5. So what the optocoupler does is the optocoupler, this point and the ground in the optocoupler, when the controller is turned on, tells the optocoupler, it's like a switch, like an on-off switch. When this and this come on, it turns on, it takes the power from here, and it allows it to flow out this leg to the chip. When the controller is off, this and this tell the optocoupler to turn off so that the power doesn't go from TP5 to here. It just stops. It doesn't come out this leg and go to the chip. So here's leg 1. Excuse me while I line up the wires. They're hard to do on camera. There we go. I will post links to all the chips. There are many different versions. This is a Dropshot chip. And I will show you the difference in where the soldering points are when soldering up these chips. If you guys watched my how to make your own scuff style controller, I showed you guys how to scrape the contact points of the A, B, X, and Y buttons. That's going to be very important, and I will show you guys on this one as well. Okay. Okay, now once all your wires are in, I like to hot glue them. I like to put some hot glue here and here, just to kind of keep the wires. Okay, now on the other side, this is a Dropshot chip, so your Dropshot is B. You're going to have to scrape your top contact and then tin it. For those of you that don't know how to do that, this is the Y. You would scrape the bottom for the Y, the top for the B, and top for A for jump shot. And then you take the fiberglass brush and expose the copper underneath. I personally like to use some flux. Just kind of put some flux on there. And then whatever leftover solder you got on your tip, just kind of touch it. I don't have any leftover solder on my tip. There we go. And it tins that easily. Now, with these chips, you need to tin your select button, and you need to tin either the Y button, the A button, the B button. If you buy one with jitter, then you would do the Y button. If you buy one with drop shot, it's the B button. If you buy one with jump shot, it's the A button. And if you buy one with sniper's breath, it's this point over here, which is the left thumbstick click. Either the top one or the bottom one, they both do the same thing. I prefer the bottom one. It's the easiest to get to without burning any of the, if your soldering iron gets too close to the trigger guard over here, you don't want to burn that. So, but this chip is Dropshot, and pin 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, will be, based on the variation that you buy, will either be this will either be connected to B, Y, A, or the thumbstick click soldering point. It'll always be this. The rest of them will always be the same. The next is number 2, and that goes to your LED. your LED will indicate the mode of your rapid fire chip. There you go. You kind of solder it to the bottom of the LED. I use LED number 4. Excuse me a second. I'm just going to kind of bring it out of frame a little bit just to double check it. There we go. Okay. And then wrap it around. I like to use my tweezers. There we go. Okay, and then obviously you can just kind of pull out the slack by tugging down the wire like that, and you might want to lay it flush like that. Okay, done. Next is leg 3. Leg 3 is your select button. Your select button is important because this helps you get in and out of programming mode. Just like a remat, you want a very light tin on your select button. Just kind of lay your wire on there. There you go. Wrap it around. I like to use my tweezers. Solder it to leg 3. Again, you can kind of pull it out of the way. Use some hot glue if you want. I would wait until you get all your wires soldered. This is the hardest one. This one's very difficult. If you can get this one, you'll see 3 solder points on the select button. You need to solder to the middle one. Okay, I've already tinned it. I like to just use a brush and rub some flux on it, and then just take a very little bit of leftover solder on my tip of my soldering iron and touch this center pin, and the flux will suck the solder off and put it on the center pin for you. So you're good to go. So measure your wire out. I like to go down, around. There we go. I know I'm off camera, I'm stripping the wire with my teeth. Excuse me, I need to bring this in a little bit to do this. Okay. You will now see I just kind of took the wire and I touched it up against that ball of solder and then used my very fine tip to melt the solder and push the wire into the melted solder and let it go, and it dried, and it's, you know, I mean, that wire is super secure. It ain't going anywhere. Wrap it around, connect it to leg 4. I like to be very neat about my wiring. Push that down. In there. Okay. Okay, now that's all done. I'll be right back. Okay, what I did is I took a little bit of hot glue and I kind of just put it over the wire up here. And I also put a little bit of hot glue for the 3 wires that I've done already over here. Once the hot glue is dry, you can kind of bend this wire out of the way, and there's a reason for that. You don't want the wire covering this button. It'll make it hard to push it with the wire over it. So once you got that, you can kind of push it out of the way, like that, and then you take your hot glue right there and secure your wire. Now you've got your sync button wire, which selects your mode, your LED, your select button, which will help you with programming, and you've got the first half of your chip done. Now I'm going to do the second half of the chip. Next is the B button for the drop shot. Measure out your wire. Layer wire across the tinned area. There we go. Solder it to leg 5. There we go. Again, some wire maintenance. Kind of drop the wire behind the chip. Place the wire across this area so that it doesn't go across the A button. You kind of should have some extra glue from here. You can kind of just, if you really wanted to, just kind of heat the glue up and push down on the wire, and that'll kind of hold the wire in place. You don't want to put a bubble of glue anywhere in here, because when you put your pad on, you don't want any glue underneath to help raise these buttons. You want everything as flush as possible. You know, and even with this 30 gauge wire, you know, it's still not perfectly flat, but it's enough where it won't know the difference. So that's that one. Then the next one is, I'm actually going to jump to the bottom because the bottom is the ground. So I'm going to go from the bottom one to the ground. Get my ground out of the way. There we go. And take my tweezers and solder it to leg 8, which is across from leg 1, which is your power, so power ground. Some wire maintenance. Okay, now the next leg above ground, which would be leg 7, I'm going in reverse order now, is your right trigger. So right trigger all the way around. Okay. Be careful soldering your right trigger. You don't want to, and I'll show you in a second, give me a second here. Here we go. You don't want to get solder between these 3 soldering points. You don't want to create a bridge. You want perfectly flush. There we go. Okay, see? Watch the tweezers, they go easily in between. Okay? Wrap your wire around. And remember, this goes to pin 7 right here. There you go. Done. Again, some wire maintenance. Just kind of tuck. Pull your wire tight using your tweezers. See, nice and flat. Okay, last wire goes from your left trigger around and, whoops, excuse me. Hold it at the left trigger, bring it down around your optocoupler and around the white battery rechargeable pack port. Line it up. Okay. Solder to the left trigger. Again, make sure that there's no solder touching the bottom of the top. Also, you'll notice that my wire was stripped very long. I have it pointing this way. You don't want to solder it sideways and have the tip of the wire be touching one of the other soldering points. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down and around, and I'm going to solder it to my last leg. This is pretty difficult to do. Excuse me a second, I need some more solder. Thought I tinned each of these legs enough, obviously I didn't. Okay, bam, there it is. Then like I said, around the optocoupler and around the charge port up here. Bam, wires are out of the way. And that's it. You are done. You have installed your rapid fire chip. This one was a 22 mode with Dropshot. I will post all the links of where to buy the chips. They're very cheap. This chip cost me $20 shipped, and it has 5 programmable modes. It has a right trigger rapid fire programmable, a left and right independent rapid fire programmable, a right trigger that also fires the left trigger for dual wielding with so it's called dual trigger on single trigger rapid fire. And then it's got a 3-shot burst and a 5-shot burst, all programmable. So you can actually program the speeds of the first 5 modes. Modes 6 through 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 are all right-left trigger rapid fire modes. There'll be a list, and that list will tell you, if it's right trigger only, right and left, dual trigger on single trigger, but they're all pre-programmed speeds. They cannot be changed, and they're for things like older Call of Duties and Halo and stuff like that. Then you got modes 19 and 20, which are drop shot. So right trigger does a drop shot, and then mode 20 is drop shot with rapid fire. You pull the trigger, it'll not only do a drop shot, but it will rapid fire as well if you've got a semi-automatic gun. If you're already using an automatic weapon, you can just use the standard drop shot, and it will, of course, rapid fire because it's already an automatic weapon. 20, that's 19, 20, and 21. And then 22, mode 22 is run and gun. And that means that if you're only using a single gun and you shoot, it will enable the aim for you. The gun will go from that to aim and then come off when you let go of it. So it's called run and gun. So it automatically aims when you fire. Doesn't mean that it locks onto the target automatically. It's not an auto aim. It just automatically enables the aim so that you don't have to push the left trigger to bring the aim down sight up on whatever gun you're using. It does it for you. Also, no matter what mode you're in, you can hold the left trigger and you can press the sync button, and that will turn off. So like if you go mode 1, mode 2, mode 3, mode 4, and you want to turn it off, you don't have to go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 off. You can just hold down the left trigger and press the sync, and it turns off the mode automatically. You could then hold down the left trigger and press it again, and it will turn it back on in the mode that you were in. So if you're in mode 4, it goes back to mode 4. If you're in mode 10, it goes back to mode 10. If you decide not to turn it back on in the mode that you were in, you could just press it again and it'll go right back to mode 1. So you can be like in mode 10, turn it off, press it once, you're in mode 1. Very simple, very cool chip. I like it a lot. It's super cheap. It's really easy to install. It comes with everything you need. I also like to just be careful with these, with this resistor here. Make sure it's not touching any of the onboard resistors. Let me show you how to glue it up. I just kind of cut it short. Over here, there's nothing to ground down on. Over here, you've got these resistors down here and this resistor up here. Just kind of make sure it's in the middle. Grab your glue gun and just kind of throw some glue around it. Let it dry. You're good to go. So, that's that. Very simple, very easy way of installing Rapid Fire. Now, this customer wants a special shell. So, I'm going to pull out the special shell. It is done. And that is how you install a Rapid Fire chip into an Xbox CG controller board. Like I said, I'm going to post links to where you can get the chips. You follow my tutorial. They will install super easy. If you have any questions, feel free to mail me. I also have a bunch of extra chips. Like I said, I'll post some links and stuff. You can get some, get some chips from me. I'm not gonna, I'll charge you guys exactly pretty much what I paid for them plus shipping. You can use this tutorial as the install guide. If you have any other questions, let me know, and thanks for watching the video. Have a great day, guys. Bye.